Clinton, put a lot of pressure on the Japanese political class, breaking Hatoyama's government and stopping the anti-base project in its tracks. Hatoyama had to resign in June 2010. The U.S. base remains in Okinawa. In fact, it is being expanded at great cost, including environmental devastation of Henoko Bay and the disappearance of the dugongs, the manatees. So that's the defeat, although there was the election on a mandate for peace. Before the coup in Japan in 2009, the U.S. oversaw a coup in Honduras against the government of Manuel Zelaya. This coup came after a long period of U.S. pressure on Latin American countries that had joined the Bolivarian project directed by the government in Venezuela. That Hugo Chavez was able to win an election in 1998 and then win a series of elections to establish a new constitution and to create a new regional dynamic and fend off a coup in 2002 is remarkable. Venezuela's left turn in 1998 provided Cuba with an ally in Latin America, and then came a series of election victories in Brazil with Lula in 2003 and Bolivia with Evo Morales in 2006. Despite all the pressure on Venezuela and Cuba, they remain intact, and despite the coup in Bolivia, in November 2019, the people voted the socialists back into power and voted out the coup regime in Honduras in November 2021. With the coronavirus running rampant across Brazil, it is Cuba and Venezuela, two countries under immense sanctions and hybrid war, that have been able to contain the virus. We cannot only focus on defeats. We need to look at the zigs and the zags, and the jumps, even if the zig is modest. I don't blame people for the arrival of this defeatist attitude, namely that there is no alternative. There is an enormous industry that produced this, a huge ideological push that provoked it. In 1944, Friedrich Hayek, who is seen as the guru of the neoliberal doctrine, published a book called The Road to Serfdom. Hayek basically argues that anytime you want to make the world a better place, you are going to create a gulag. Don't try to do anything. Let the invisible forces make justice come into the world. Let the invisible hand create justice. The moment you try to put your hand into history, you will end up executing people. That's the ultra-libertarian argument. This argument has become widespread in different ways. There are those who totally attack anyone who tries to socially engineer the good, disparaging the state as an institution for social change. Anti-state politics of the right and the left meet on this terrain. There is affinity here for a kind of liberal politics that is popular among a range of people that retains great faith in the structures of formal democracy, and that believes there is no need to be acting outside these formations since the democratic system will take care of things. This kind of liberalism, which has tremendous faith in the system, demobilizes public action. If there is to be a public action, let it be along the grain of lawfulness, with no challenge to the system. In fact, the ultra-libertarians, the left anti-state people, the liberal Democrats, all of them promote, in different ways, the demobilization of public action. Over a generation or two generations, basic faith in formal democracy has been reinforced across the political spectrum in the advanced democratic countries. Loss of faith in democratic institutions, the turn of these institutions toward a technocracy, creates the opposite of democracy. A key example of this is the European Union, whose bureaucrats seem so totally cut off from the rough world of the people of Europe. The faith of these Brussels politicians and bureaucrats in techniques of management, often techniques of the banking world rather than the world of social development, has created a great deal of anger inside Europe that gave an advantage to the extreme right. The focus on immigration comes alongside the anger at the detachment of the European Union, as well as the racism of Brussels toward the southern European countries. Racism shapes the heart of the European extreme right. In these circles, the hesitation demanded by Hayek is not followed. The extreme right is quite happy to try to change the world, to socially engineer the world in its own image, which includes a society without immigrants. This is a seam of neo-fascism that demands a kind of social welfare for certain kinds of people and not for others, based often on ideas of race and belonging, of blood and passports. Democratic institutions are set aside. Liberal norms are not honored. The horse of the extreme right gallops right into anger and then stampedes through society. When you leave the zone of the advanced democratic societies, where money power has eclipsed actual democracy, and go to the rest of the world, faith in democratic institutions is even